Hey everyone, Christina Lane here from dessertfor2.com. Today we are making the cutest Christmas lights sugar cookies. You would think with as many desserts as I make that I would be great at decorating cookies. That is totally not true. I am so terrible at it, but last Christmas I wanted to come up with an easy cookie that would impress my toddler. These Christmas lights sugar cookies totally fit the bill. Plus the batch makes just 8 cookies, which is perfect for Santa. The first thing we need is a 1/4 cup of unsalted butter. This is softened, it's at room temperature. And then I'm gonna add the same amount of granulated white sugar. And we're gonna cream them together. Okay, after about a minute, it should be very light and fluffy. Next we need 1 egg yolk. Save the egg white for another use. And then 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. Vanilla is that quintessential flavor in sugar cookies that you need. We're also going to add a little bit of almond extract, just a 1/4 teaspoon. It's just really a couple drops total. And blend that together. Now it's time for dry ingredients. This is 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour, a big pinch of salt, and 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. That is it. Everything is in one bowl, super easy. All right, it's time to roll out our dough. Just gather it into a ball and then lightly flour your counter. It helps to make it into like a disc shape before you start rolling. I'm using a 3-inch biscuit cutter today. That will give me about 6 or 8 cookies. And Camille's little mini rolling pin. You're only gonna get about 4 cookies on the first rollout, but we'll gather our scraps and we'll get 2 or 3 more. All right, you wanna roll it out to about 1/4 inch in thickness. And then lightly flour your cutter and cut out 4 circle shapes. Maybe you can get 5. I use this little thin offset spatula. It helps me move it from the counter to the cookie sheet without stretching or bending the cookies. I line my baking sheet with parchment paper. Let's gather our scraps and try to get 2 or 3 more cookies. I actually have not preheated my oven yet. I'm gonna place the cookies in the freezer and give them the entire amount of time it takes for the oven to preheat. My cookies are done. They're golden brown around the edges, but they're still pretty pale in the center. I'm gonna move them to my cooling rack so they can cool completely. You want these cookies completely cool before you attempt to frost them. We are actually going to make a small batch of royal icing. We have an egg white left over from making the cookies, so we're gonna use the egg white in the frosting. This is 1.5 cups of powdered sugar. We need about 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. This just helps bring it together. And then here's our egg white from earlier. It doesn't seem like a lot of liquid, but just keep whisking. If you feel uncomfortable using raw eggs, go ahead and buy pasteurized eggs for this recipe. All right, my royal icing is completely together. It's gonna feel a little stiff, but whisk it until all of the lumps are out. You need to use this right away. It's gonna start hardening. So I'm using my little offset spatula again. And the best way to do this is to pile some of the royal icing in the center of the cookie and let it spread on its own. It's gonna spread about 1/4 inch from everywhere you put it. So you wanna leave a little edge for each cookie. Just make small swooping motions from the center. Turn the cookie with your fingers as you go. And this icing will dry completely hard and ready to decorate in about 30 minutes. You'll have enough royal icing for about 8 or 9 cookies. Okay, my cookies have completely dried. Now it's time to make the Christmas lights. I'm using a tube of black icing to do this. It's so much easier than making icing and then trying to get the perfect little tip, so I just buy this guy. And I do 2 strings across, and then immediately after you do the string, you wanna press your mini M&Ms in sideways all along the black line. And they look like little Christmas lights. I try to mix it up. I try to make sure there's one of every color M&M. All right, our Christmas lights cookies are done. I'm gonna put them on a cookie tray for Santa. These are super cute and so fun to make with kids. For the full recipe instructions, visit dessertfor2.com.